funny. Wait, first I have to be able to share my screen. Never mind. That was weird. Haley's coming. Okay. So this is a lesson that goes with yesterday's lesson about our Think Books. So if you are online remotely, you can see our learning target here. If you are in class, you will see our learning target here as well. Today we're going to write at least 3 to 5 sentences in your Think Book. And the reason why is so that we can express our ideas and thoughts and maybe your feelings, whatever you decide. And our success criteria is you will be able to review the topics that we brainstormed yesterday. You're going to choose a topic to write about. You're going to write at least 3 to 5 sentences using correct capitalization and punctuation. And you're going to add doodles to your writing if time. Okay, so what I want you to do, and learners at home, be thinking, what were some of the topics that we brainstormed yesterday after reading Amelia's notebook? What were some of the things that we said we could write about? Would you please write those in the chat box and show so Mrs. Harrison can see them? And the rest of you, I want you to put it in your head. And then when you have a topic, put your hands on top of your head. So I know you are with me and ready. You have a topic. I see Cooper's got his topic. It looks like Sunny does. Good job, Angelique. And if you have something that's going to distract you, can you put it to the side? Mrs. Harrison, any ideas?
Haley says hands.
Yeah, hands was a topic. What else could we write about? Which seems silly, but Marissa Moss did a good job of it. Sunny. Pets. You might want to write about your pets. Another one.
Jensen says food.
Good idea, Jensen. We could write about food, one of my favorite topics. What else? Ellie, do you have one? Numbers. For sure. August. Scary things? Yeah, I didn't write that. That's a great one. I love that idea. Elena. Your troubles? I'll have to see it. Hobbies. Your hobbies. Excellent. Hobbies is something we could write about because that's something we enjoy. So Charlie, you can put that away and give me whole body listening, okay, hon? Thank you, sir. So guys, if you can let's do a quick whole body listening. We don't have anything out of our desk, Lucas. We're not doing any of that because our ears are listening, mouths are quiet, brain is thinking about what is being said, your eyes are up here, and your hands and feet are down and still. Okay, now we're ready. Yes, Mrs. Harrison.
Can you remind some kids have just been entering what you're talking about?
Okay, so if you just entered, read our learning target. We are going to be writing in our Think Books today. And what we're doing right now is brainstorming topics that we discussed yesterday to write about. Sir Renee. Safety. Okay, sure. We didn't write that one yesterday, but I love it. Yes, Max.
Colors.
I'm sorry?
Colors.
Colors. Yeah, that's another new one. You guys are so creative. Yes, Haley.
The sea.
The sea. And one more.
Animals.
Animals. Oh, I'll take one more.
Adventure.
Adventures. So here are some of the topics that we wrote in our Think Books yesterday. We said you could write questions, memories, goals, about numbers, friends, ideas, pets, treasures, drawings, animals, feelings, hobbies. You could do poetry, creative stories. So when I look at our success criteria, it sounds like we did a great job reviewing the topics. So now you get to think about a topic you might want to write about. I'm going to brainstorm that for you. And I'm thinking in my head that I went to Montana this weekend and we went to Yellowstone and we viewed a college for my son. And so I have that so fresh in my mind, and I told you guys we were going to go. So that's what I really want to write about because it's fresh and it was exciting and frustrating all at the same time. And I want to share it with you. So that's how I'm going to choose my topic. You want to choose a topic that you're excited to write about. If you have no idea about numbers, like, you know, like, how do I write about numbers? Don't choose that topic. If you don't have any pets, you're not going to write about pets, right? One thing you can always write about is what you did in the past. So you've always got experiences. You could write about the first day of school. You could write about something you did this summer. It could be a memory or an adventure you went on. You get to choose, but make sure when you choose a topic, it's something you have something to say about. Because if you have nothing to say, it's not a good topic for you. Okay, now you want to make sure you write at least 3 to 5 sentences. Now, some of you are going to go crazy writing. I know that when I did this, I couldn't stop writing because I had so much I wanted to tell you about my trip. So I just was going, and you might do the same. Sometimes when you're doing that, you forget your capitalization and punctuation. So you might have to go back and reread and add it. But who can remind us, when do we use a capital letter? And if you're at home, write it in the chat box so I can see. Mrs. Harrison will tell me. Let's hear from Max.
At the beginning of the sentence.
That's one time. Lila, did you have another time? Beginning of a sentence for sure? What else, Gabe? Birthday boy? Your name needs to be capitalized. Yes, what else? So I, when it stands alone and it's a actual word, you want to capitalize it. Charlie Carr.
When you're starting a new sentence.
Every time you start a new sentence, yes. Elena.
A place.
A place. So a special place. Mrs. Harrison.
Jensen also added states.
States. Good job, Jensen. Yep, the name of states, countries, cities. What else, Logan? Or I'm sorry, Cole. Months of the year. January, February, March, April. Another one. National parks. He already is predicting what I needed to capitalize. And what are you thinking, my dear? Places, special places. So if I were saying school for West Jeff Elementary, if I just said I went to school, I wouldn't capitalize it. But if I say the name of it, West Jeff Elementary School, I would have to capitalize it. So when you talk about places, they're proper nouns, you're going to capitalize it if you use that name. Like if I were just going to say park, I'm not going to capitalize, I went to the park. But what Gabe was saying, if I say I went to Yellowstone National Park, I have to capitalize that word park. Okay, when do I use punctuation? Abby, when do I need to use a period? At the end of a sentence. Why? Why is that important?
So you don't get confused on sentences.
Yeah, if I don't add those periods, I don't know when to pause. I don't know when that thought ends. So you want to make sure you are ending that thought so your reader can understand what you're trying to say. Yes, Charlie Carr. When you're done writing a thought, that's a complete sentence. Sure. Finn, can you put that down? Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start my writing. I know my topic, right? And now I'm going to tell you about my weekend. So I'm going to start with the capital because you guys told me. And I want to tell you what I'm going to talk about first. So that's called like a topic sentence. It's introducing your topic. So last weekend, my family and I, notice what I'm doing. I'm putting my family first, right? My family and I, and that, who told me that? Finn, I think you said capitalize that I. went to Yellowstone, and I'm capitalizing the name of the park, Yellowstone National, and there's park. And I'm gonna do what Abby said and put a period there. So let's see if that makes sense. This is called proofreading. Last weekend, my family and I went to Yellowstone National Park. So how many of you, give me a thumbs up if you are a proofreader. Like when you're writing, you tend to go back and read it and make sure it makes sense. And then like, wait a minute, let me make sure that makes sense. If your thumb's not up, it's a good strategy. And here's why. It helps you get your next thought. Last weekend, my family and I went to Yellowstone National Park. Now, what about it? I want to just tell you about my feelings about it because I really was frustrated. So I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to start with a capital because that's what Charlie said. Even though that's not a proper noun, it is the beginning of a sentence. We had to wait a long time in traffic. And if you've ever been to Yellowstone, you may have had this experience before. Just to get our ticket to get in. So I think we probably waited 45 minutes just to get the ticket. I should have known then to turn around and go back in traffic just to get our ticket to get in. And then what do I need at the end? Microphone answer? Period. Notice that I'm putting spaces between my words. That also helps people can read it then, right? If it's all mushed together, you can't read it. All right, now I'm going to give you more detail about this trip that really wasn't so great. When we finally got in, sure, it's his birthday today.
Happy birthday.
He's 9. Big day for him. When we finally got in, we sat in traffic trying to get to our first destination. So we're in the park. I hope you guys can visualize this. We sat in traffic trying to get to our first, we had a plan to go see all these great things. Our first destination was is it the giant prismatic or the great prismatic? To our first destination. And if you've ever been there, it's called the Great Prismatic. Should I capitalize it? Yeah. It's a special place, right? The Great Prismatic. What do I need at the end? Finn, what should I put at the end? Period. Now, I'm going to keep going, but because of time, I'm going to show you what I've already written because it will just keep going and going. I want to tell you the rest, but I've already written it for you so I can read it to you and not take up all your time watching me write. I wanted to model how I'm thinking about my capitals, how I'm thinking about my ending punctuation, and why it's important because now you can read it. Let's proofread it. Last weekend, my family and I went to Yellowstone National Park. We had to wait a long time in traffic just to get our ticket to get in. When we finally got in, we sat in traffic trying to get to our first destination, the Great Prismatic. Now, when I proofread that, I think I need another punctuation mark. I just felt like it wasn't smooth. As a writer, as an author, you need to proofread so that you can hear those things. So let me go back to that sentence. When we finally got in, I need to pause there. When we finally got in, we sat in traffic trying to get to our first destination, the Great Prismatic. That little comma makes that pause. So then the thoughts make sense. Okay. Before I even go on, if I wanted to add a doodle to this section, what could I draw to add to that? Write it in the chat box if you're at home. What kind of doodle or picture could I do around the border of this page? August?
You could do a doodle of
I could draw a picture of the Great Prismatic because it talks about that. Excellent. Anybody at home want to raise their hand and they can unmute? And share. When you guys unmute, we hear you really loud. It's awesome. Astria, can you unmute and share what you think I could draw a doodle of?
You could draw of you sitting in traffic.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to show you my final entry. And here I went crazy. It only took me a little time, but I had so much to say. Okay, so here's where we were. We ended at the Grand Prismatic. I spelt it wrong there. While we were waiting, we saw a herd of elk in the lake. We also passed a bison laying next to the road. It took about 2 hours just to go 14 miles. Notice what I used here. Who can tell me the name of that punctuation? What is it, Abby? You got it. It's on the tip of your tongue. Can you help her? Exclamation mark. And when you have a lot of energy or you have excitement, you want to say something with power, that's when you get to use that. I wanted you to know it took about 2 hours just to go 14 miles. Oh, it was so frustrating. When we got to the Grand Prismatic, there was nowhere to park. Another period there. We finally found a spot and got out and walked through the geysers along the boardwalk. It was beautiful. Since it was so crowded, we decided to leave the park. It took another 2 hours of sitting in traffic to get out. We will never go there again during the summer. So here's what I heard from Astria. Look at this. My doodle is of traffic. And I put, I really dislike traffic. I labeled it traffic. Here you can see my frustration. No summer. Yay fall, yay winter. I think I could go back to Yellowstone in the fall or the winter and maybe enjoy it. There's my picture of the elk we saw. We did see bison, which of course we see here, so it wasn't that exciting. But the Great Prismatic was beautiful. Yellowstone, I kind of wrote on the side, just doodling. So if we go back to our learning target, which, where did I put? Here we go. Remember, we are going to write at least 3 to 5 sentences. Could you tell I had a lot to say? Look at all those sentences. I don't even know how many that is, but it's a lot. Because I was excited to share. Make sure what you're writing about, you have something to say. And then we have plenty of topics we looked at. I can put the ideas back up for you. You guys added topics. I liked what August said. Sometimes you want to write about scary things, right? Scary things. I heard someone mention colors. That's a fun one. So we have lots of good ideas of things we can write about. So make sure you look at those and decide, and then get writing. Think about those capitals and periods. And then if you have time, add the doodles to your writing. That's the fun part. Think about what you wrote about. Make sure those pictures relate. Because in my pictures, we saw a bison. That's why that makes sense. We saw an elk. We went to Yellowstone. This is what my writing is about. You don't want to just do random pictures because you're good at drawing a pig. I can't draw a pig on here because I didn't see a pig. It doesn't go with my writing, okay? So make sure your doodles go with your writing, and we want you to have fun with that today. If you want to take a picture of your entry and upload it to the assignment, you can do that if you are at home. And then just so you know, kiddos at home, in your assignment, after you do your writing, and we were hoping you'd write for about 20 minutes, we here at school are going to get some independent reading in. So after you're done with your writing, if you could do 20 minutes of independent reading, you can do it on Epic at home, or you can do it in a Just Right book of your choice that you have at home. And our kiddos will use their book bins to do that reading. So we have 20 minutes at least of writing in your Think Book and about 20 minutes of reading independently in a Just Right book, independently with your own book or Epic. If you have any questions at home, raise your hand so Mrs. Harrison can answer them. If you have any questions here, raise your hand. And if you want Mrs. Harrison, we can stop recording. Anybody have questions about what we are going to do? So Mrs. Harrison's class, you will